Welcome to Butterflies of Wisdom, everyone. As you know, today is Monday. I almost said Tuesday. No, it's not. It's Monday. And we're almost to August, you guys. Yikes. Where has 2017 gone? I don't know. Where has 2017 gone now? I don't know. And Mel's going to come in a couple minutes with the update that he did over the weekend, actually. He did this over the weekend. He decided to go run a marathon and up in Lake Tahoe?
Yes, correct.
Lake Tahoe now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some up there in the Lake Tahoe Mountains, yeah.
Yeah. So how did that go?
Well, first of all, thank you, Lynn. I'm happy to be back today, and let me just give you guys some details. The event that I ran in was a team trail run event called Ragnar Tahoe. And Ragnar is an organization that does national events. There's two types. There are point-to-point, meaning that you will take a team of, say, 12 people and generally spread out 200 miles divided by 12 people in a relay. And you have to complete that in a 24-hour period. It's one person starts. You all each run 3 legs of it. Mileage could be anywhere between, 7 to 12 miles per person. And you just kind of wait your turn, as the mileage gets eaten up. And then there's the base camp style, which is what we did up in the Lake Tahoe Mountains at the Royal Gorge Cross Country Ski Resort, about an hour outside of Lake Tahoe. Beautiful, beautiful mountainside. And you have a transition tent where there was 140 miles divided by 8 people. And you start and you run it for 24 hours. And there's 3 legs, a 7-mile, a 6-mile, and a 4-mile. Everybody runs all 3 legs. You just kind of wait your turn. And we had 8 people lined up. 2 days prior to arriving, 1 person could not make it for a family emergency. So now we had to divide 140 miles between 7 people, which means somebody was going to run a whole lot more than someone else. And our team captain really didn't have any business running because she had a really bad knee, and her orthopedic surgeon said she needed to rest it for 8 to 10 weeks with no activity. But, she got through about the 8-week period, and she said, hey, you know what? It's 8 weeks. I can run, right? I'm okay. It's not going to get any worse. Well, okay. She decided to do it. And I was scheduled to be leg number 3, which meant I was going to roughly run. Let's see, our team started at 9 a.m. I probably was going to run at about, noon for my 7-mile run up a 6,000-foot elevation, 1,000-foot climb thing. And then maybe my next run would be, 5 p.m. and then maybe 11 p.m. Well, it didn't work out that way because we lost a person, which meant I got bumped to leg number 6. We used my leg number 3 as a free leg in case somebody could do an extra run. Well, that meant I didn't start now until 3 in the afternoon. My second leg didn't happen until 2:30 in the morning, and which meant that at Friday night I went to bed at 9 p.m., woke up at 1 a.m. I needed at least an hour and a half to kind of prep my body and wake up and foam roll and stretch out and fuel and all that. I didn't get out of the transition tent because my partner didn't arrive until 2:30. So I ran from 2:30 to 5:30, didn't sleep at all, not a wink. And then by the time I got back, sun started to come up. I handed off the baton to the next person. They went going. Unfortunately, during that late night run, at mile number 3 of the 6 miles, the outside bone of my left foot started to throb. And I didn't know why. And I couldn't run. I had to hobble. And then I tried to run, and I tried to walk. I tried to power walk. I tried everything I could. I changed my gait. I went from forefoot striking to heel striking. I was trying to do everything I could to eat up mileage because it was getting late. And the problem is if you are 20 to 30 minutes past your estimated time of arrival, they're going to send out a search party for you. There's no aid
there's,
stations out there. You're by yourself in the
if
mountains. Right.
If I can interject,
Yeah.
that's
You're all by yourself.
exactly what happened to my teammate and I at Kona.
Right.
That's why we didn't finish Kona. You guys don't know that story yet. But we got kicked off the course. We got kicked off the bike course. And this is the first time I'm admitting that publicly. Thank you very much. So that's why today I'm not sitting there as a Kona Ironman champion, because we got kicked off the course, and they sent my family, they sent my search party out for us because we didn't make the time to make the run.
Right.
So that's exactly what
it's hard.
To me.
It's hard. So I made it back. I hobbled
it's hard
back.
and disappointing.
And then that set us an hour back. Yeah, that set us an hour back, and I was like, oh my gosh. So our team captain is a college math teacher, so she's constantly reconfiguring ETAs all day long, trying to figure it out. Then we got to the point where, like, okay, if we don't finish by the 6 p.m. deadline on Saturday night, we get disqualified and we don't go on record. Well, it turns out that I couldn't run my third leg, my final 4 miles. So after talking to the event directors, the way they figured it out was the remaining 5 people that were able to run, 2 had to run another 7 miles together, 2 had to run another 6 miles together, and 2 had to run another 4 miles together in order for us to qualify to finish at the end. And mind you, 2 guys, one guy already ran 7 miles twice and 6 miles once. The other guy already ran 6 miles twice and 7 miles once. I mean, these guys were phenomenal athletes. They ended up logging a full marathon in 24 hours, basically, with no sleep.
Oh my God!
And there was nothing worse. And there was nothing worse than me as a competitive athlete sitting there thinking, I cannot contribute. I was exhausted. I was injured. I was hurting. and I was like, and I just had to just let it go. Okay, stop. Don't beat yourself up over it. It is what it is. You learned a lot this year. And I fully appreciated that I was there again 1 year later. Mind you, it's my third one. 1 year later thinking, okay, I learned a lot from the previous one, but age catches up to you. The unlevel terrain will humble you, and the altitude always dominates you. There's no way you can prepare for it because the first 50 yards are straight up. You're gassed by the time you get there. I ran up 3.5 miles. I ran, jog, and by the time I got to the 3.5 mile mark at the top of the mountain, I still had another 3.5 miles leveling down, up, down, all the way down. My 2:30 a.m. run was the most technically difficult of the 3 legs. 6 miles, but you are uphill, level, uphill again, and another hill, and it almost seemed like it never ended. And then it was a straight dive all the way down. And it was just merciless. All in pitch black dark. Pitch black dark. A friend of mine who's a triathlete said, hey, do this for a second. Why don't you, when you're up there, when there's nobody around, turn off your headlamp and your hand lamp and stand there and just soak it all in. And I said, okay. So I did it. And I turned off everything. And mind you, it's pitch black. You can't even see the trees in front of you. And it's eerily quiet. Not a slither on the ground, not a twig breaking, not a leaf crackling. And I'm thinking, where are the animals at? And they're probably watching me right now. So I did it for probably 20 seconds. And I said, okay, I'm done with this. I'm done with this. I turned on my headlamps and started walking again. So
Bill,
anyway.
Do you hear me?
Fantastic.
Bears. I get bears in my backyard, you guys. Yeah. You probably see a picture of a bear walking down my driveway, and I know that there are bears up in Lake Tahoe area because I know that.
And
so now I'm happy you made it home safe. I'm happy you made it home slightly uninjured, although
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Big sun.
I woke up this morning. I had a great workout this morning. I'm about 95% healed up. which really surprised me. I thought I'd be like destroyed for the next week or so. And I've got my full marathon training, my team training that's happening this Wednesday morning at 5:30 a.m. So I got to like wrap my mind around that and start getting ready for the full California Marathon at the end of the year. So anyway, that's the latest.
Now, I have a question about the California Marathon.
Okay.
Could a person in a wheelchair do the California Marathon?
I don't see why not. Honestly, last year when I ran it, I only ran half of it as a tandem with somebody. I don't recall seeing anybody in it, but I would be hard pressed to think that they would not allow it. It's at the state capitol. I mean, why would they not allow it?
I will do some investigation. I will do
some
investigation work and try and tag team with someone out there.
It'd be fun.
Guess what, you guys? Guess what? I am actually quitting my job in September 2020. I'm slowly but surely making the transition out of the cubicle and into solo entrepreneurship / creative entrepreneurship, because as you guys know, I'm going back to school and to get my second associate's degree in journalism. I almost called it education. No, that's not true. And so I am slowly but surely quitting my job. And the next huge step, remember I told you guys I had a meeting with Folks Rehab? Well, I got approved. So now they want to know again what my life goals are. And so now on August 2nd, I kind of have to take a strengths finders test for the disabled. Of course, I'm telling my Voc Rehab coach that was kind of skipping strengths finders test for the disabled because, quite frankly, I know what I want to do with my life. So that's the update on that. And we're going back to what we talked about in last week's episode before Mel went on his little jog, no pun intended. And we talked about me being on New York Times bestseller as an independent published author, and that's still happening. Now, why I want to do that now is because I want out of the teaching field. I want in the creative field. And as I said, last week, the New York Times is one of those lists that it's hard to get on, but once you get on it, you're on it. And I'm not asking twice. I'm not asking 3 times. I'm asking once. And I think you have to sell a certain amount of books, like 9,000 or million books, to be on it. And my dad actually teased me yesterday, and he said, I want you to sell 1 million of books. And I'm like, I just looked at him like, yeah, that's the New York Times right there. So that's my goal with the next book, is to sell 1 million books and try to get on the New York Times bestseller list as an independent published author with my marketing firm, with my team around me, which is helping me through this huge transition, because I finally said to my dad, how do you feel about me getting a journalism degree? And that's the way in the call the other day. I was expecting him to say, like the father should say, you need to stay in the cubicle, you need to do all this. He goes, that's great. You can be an independent published author and make money off of it and do something you enjoy. And that was his response. And so I'm like, really? And so that really made me feel better as to making this transition. And we're going to do a deep dive on family and entrepreneurship because someone inspired this episode, and it wasn't necessarily my dad or possibly my dad, but Mel sent me a picture of his family after family wedding. And we're going to do an episode on that. Basically, after seeing a picture, I understand why your kids are so proud of their dad. And
thank you.
My dad, after being a retired sound engineer, for Bob Dylan, Pink Floyd, Neil Diamond, John Denver.
Oh, wow.
U2, you name all the top bands, he was in the sound booth, primarily with Neil Diamond and Bob Dylan. So basically, after he got retired from being on the road, he started a home entertainment company and closed shop in 2010, right after my mom died, to, of course, take care of me. So I have had the entrepreneurial spirit in my blood since I can remember. I mean, he opened up his company in 82. I was born in 87. He was sitting in his office when he got the phone call that my mom was being rushed to the hospital. Let's just put it that way. So he had the flexibility, like you've had, Mel, over the years, to attend my ski days, and we'll get to that in a minute, to attend my plays, to attend every school function under the sun. And, he loves entrepreneurship, so that's why he's so supportive of entrepreneurship. But having a team around you to help you make this transition out of the cubicle into solo entrepreneurship makes it easy on you, because you can kind of bounce ideas off. So, and granted, you guys, today I'm having a bad CT day, aka my tone is going off the wall. So I told Mel, I said that to Mel. He goes, do you want to reschedule? And I'm like, no. I said, okay, that would. And then I put CP behind it. I said, FUCK-CP. I'll do it. I'll do this podcast with my tone going 1,000 miles a minute. So, and I'm very lucky. About once a month I get high tone days where I can't function. Typically, when I'm going back to school, believe it or not, typically my body is perfectly fine in June. It's like gummy. And so typically when I'm going back into the classroom and making transitions, and people with cerebral palsy are not the biggest fan of change, even though I've been preparing this change since January. I knew this change was coming, this clear pivot in my career, in my teaching career. And so I knew this other change was coming too. But still, people with cerebral palsy aren't the biggest fan of change. So having a smooth transition outside the cubicle is helping me understand what I can and can't do. And as Mel will kindly remember on this podcast, kindly remind me, take my body first. Take my body first. Work and money will come second. You need to keep you healthy first.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I mean, you know, it's amazing. It's such a great gift that your dad has a solid understanding of what it's like to be an entrepreneur, because there's just no way you can, or anybody can really succeed as an entrepreneur alone. If you are detached from your family, that's one thing. But if you come from a strong family unit and you try to go off on your own and you don't have their support, it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. And entrepreneurship is very much leadership. You know, you really can't be a micromanager and an entrepreneur at the same time. You'll just burn yourself down to the ground and no one will want to work with you. And having said that, it's also a very lonely role because leadership is not a feel-good position. You know, being an entrepreneur means you need to make decisions that you feel are going to be best for your business, even though you do take good insight from people if you're open-hearted and open-minded enough to it. But at the end of the day, you got to make the decisions to steer your ship. And also, the one thing I've learned, you know, whether or not I'm in the exercise industry, I just work with so many clients who are high-level executive type people, and the number one common denominator amongst all of them is that they sacrifice themselves for their success. And that sacrifice comes in the way of emotional balance. It comes in the way of physical health risks. It comes in the way of mental health, you know, whatever the case may be. And you know, they're all programmed so early in their careers that to succeed at all costs. Well, the success doesn't have to come at any cost. You know, it should be a journey where you adapt and you make adjustments here and there. There's really no right or wrong. There's really no failures. There's just parts of your journey. I mean, I had a business from 2003 to 2008 where we grossed $2.5 million, you know, in a luxury fitness training business, and nobody did that at that time. And then I literally overnight lost it all to go from being a millionaire to nothing. And it was the most painful time because I allowed that to define who I was. And in retrospect now, boy, you know, I really wish, knowing now, I could have told that person back then, look, you know what, it's not who you are. It's just part of your journey. And so what's important is what you do with it now, and what is your relationship, with yourself, what is your relationship with that experience, what is your relationship with money, all that kind of stuff. So I applaud anybody who strikes out on their own, whether it's planned well or misguided. It takes gumption, it takes chutzpah, it takes courage, it takes all that, you know.
Yeah.
So,
and the reason why I am striking out on my own in 2020, although I did ask whether I could strike out in 2019, and they go, which I knew my boss goes yesterday. I didn't get the email until this morning. Each faculty member is on a yearly contract. We'll discuss that in the spring. I can tell in the bottom of their emails underneath of this. They don't want me to strike out on my own because I'm the only one up there teaching diversity. There's not a Hispanic kid in sight. There's certainly not a physical disability student in sight. So, in a sense, my job is going gulp. Where we go find the next teacher who's going to teach about diversity. And so, so in a job, in a sense, my job is saying, we love you too much. Please, please, please stay with us. And so that's what I'm going to do. And also, if this doesn't work out, I'm going to leave the door open with them and say, if striking out on my own doesn't work out, will I be able to reapply, and will I be able to use my journalism degree to teach English, or assist teaching English, quite frankly, or assist teaching English, quite frankly, and then I could become a sub too. So I'm going to leave just a tiny plaque in the door and say, look, if this doesn't work out, can I come back and teach, be assistant to teaching English? But we're going to try. We're going to try, and if I need to go back to work, if I need to go back to a day job, I can always switch my book rehab. But my plan right now is to be a freelance writer and make it to the New York Times bestseller list and focus on YA young adult novels with a disability emphasis. I am now writing. It's taken me 10 years because life got in the way. But I'm now getting back to writing a novel series. Half of it is out on Amazon. Half of it is still stuck on my iPad/laptop. Oops. And so I can't wait to see how that goes after I get my journalism degree. So this is why I'm striking out on my own, and just being on the New York Times bestseller list and selling 10,000 copies of the book would just be the icing on the cake. I mean, I thought that this podcast wasn't going to go anywhere, but it turns out that every time I publish an episode, I get 100 to 500 downloads per new episode.
That's
and so,
pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good for a little unknowing podcaster like me. And so how do you feel about this, Mel?
You know, the crack that you're trying to leave open is more so the relationship rather than the actual job itself. You know, what you're going to learn and go through in 1 or 2 or 3 years of entrepreneurialism by yourself is going to make you so much more valuable because of the journey you're going to take. And if you end up going back into the workforce, believe it or not, you're going to be at a higher level anyway. You may not want to go back to that job, and even if you did, you may be too overqualified for it at that point. So regardless, if you decided to go back into the workforce, you're going to have different conversations with different people at that point. You know, from a leadership standpoint, from a consultative perspective, because you know, when you're in the trenches and you're making it happen on your own, that's not something you can really teach in a classroom.
No.
You know what I'm saying? So
no.
So no, I think you're in a great position. You're at a great age to be able to do it. You're very passionate. You've got the energy. You've got the backing. You've got the support. You definitely have a great team of people that understand what you're doing. Most importantly, you laid a great blueprint and foundation for it because you did the back end work. You have followers. The relationships that you have with your audience is strong enough. And I can go on, but it's at the end of the day, you're taking action, and action takers rule. They always do. You could think about it and dream about it all you want, but until you schedule it and execute it, it's just a dream. You know, and so set the things in motion like you have. We'll all be here for you, and we'll just make adjustments as we go along. And whatever fork in the road the journey forces you to take, if that appears, then okay, we'll deal with it together at that time. You know, I mean, that's how much.
And if worst comes
that's
to
my
worst,
professional
I
maturity
can
about
go
it.
back into the classroom 1 day a week and assist teaching English, which would use my journalism degree to its full potential. You know.
Right. I mean, you know, if you have a journalism degree and you're able to write, you're going to be teaching at a different level at that point. You know, you're going to have a different audience. Yeah. You know, that's quite an upgrade. You know what I'm saying? But something tells me that that's not going to happen. I think you're going to find a groove. You're going to find your place in the world that you're trying to, learn, and you're going to be a valuable asset there. You know, simply because you'll be tenacious about it. You know, I didn't know back in 1984 that, you know, I was a skinny kid. I got hired into a health club that had a corporate training program. Little did I know that 33 years later, I would still be doing what I was doing and, you know, being able to raise kids and have a wonderful life doing what I was doing because it's not, quote, a real, unquote, job.
No,
I mean, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So it's not a trade. It's not a degree. I don't have a bunch of initials after my name, as in I have a master's in kinesiology and all those fancy things. No, I don't have that. I don't need that. What I have in 33 years, you couldn't teach in a classroom. I can actually teach a class on the business and the experience of coaching from a different perspective. So my value and asset to the universe is different, just like yours, So anyway.
And as I said, I have a PhD in CP, and I could lead a class on CP alone. I actually did it once as I was getting my early childhood education degree. I was taking a class and I loved it. It was called Dealing with the Gifted and the Disabled Preschooler and how you deal with them in preschool. And so when it came to see the section on cerebral palsy, I practically taught the class. And my other classmates were so fascinated that they had a classmate with the actual disability because they were reading it out of a textbook. And a textbook can only help so much. I'm not bashing college in any way, but real life experience is much better than reading it out of a textbook.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Storytelling is always greater, right? I mean, if you have somebody that could really pour their heart out into a story of things they've gone through, they could take you there. They could absolutely put you in that moment, right? And that's what's great about writing. You're going to be able to do that. I love sharing experiences and telling stories. I'm a kind of an animated guy when it comes to that. I've been told that people enjoy listening to me as I'm sitting around a table and we're just drinking or eating or whatever. And, I like to add all the emotions behind it, the humor, the tears, the sadness, the wonder, all of it, So, I don't know. It's fun.
You guys, when I quit my job, here's what I'm going to do. The day I quit my job, I am going to sign up for the California Marathon. So that Mel and I could possibly run it together, and so we can see that I am actually triathlete at all. Although I would need a little bit of assistance, but I know where to find that in 2 seconds flat. Just ask Team Hoyt and Google Team Hoyt, you guys. And Mel, you Google Team Hoyt as well. They have a fairly fascinating story. And Google Ansley's Angels. Ansley's Angels I actually had Ansley's father on the show. Ansley's Angels they do wheelchair marathons, actually, all cross country. They have different chapters all cross country, and they're out of San Diego, I believe. And so go back and listen to that episode. They almost wanted me to do a marathon in Louisiana. And I'm like, yeah, really? And I said to the president, because he knows who I am from Team We Win. Team We Win was looking at racing the wheelchair for me, a specialized racing the wheelchair for me, obviously. And so these people know who I am from Team We Win. And so I said to the president of the Ansley's Angels, I said, well, if my schedule works out, turns out I'm walking. I shouldn't say quitting my job. I'm gracefully walking away from the education field because quitting sounds like you're burning bridges. So I'm going to replace it. I'm gracefully walking away. But I thought Louisiana, me, that doesn't sound fun. So maybe the California Marathon would be fun to do with you, and
Yeah,
it goes out there anyway. So kill two birds with one stone. Go
absolutely.
to the campus and do the California Marathon. And so I'm going to have to research that, but that is something I'm going to either do in 2019 or definitely in 2020, definitely, because I need to get out of these cockamamie positions I've put my body in for 11 years, and I need to get ready for the next chapter of my life. And how to do this is go out to California, do the California Marathon, come back and write about it, probably.
That would be an incredible story. That's the magnificent part of your journey.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
you could really say a lot of things about that.
Journey. Well,
absolutely.
Yeah,
and we can have 3 or 4 runners split up the marathon with you. It doesn't have to be just one person. I mean, I'm happy to do it, but you could do the entire thing, but you can have 4 people who break up the marathon. I think it's a team of 4 that can do it, and we just kind of you'd actually be kind of like a baton in a relay.
Yeah.
It'd be a baton in a relay. We just meet up. Okay, it's yours now. Go ahead and take it.
Angels does it too. They had, I believe, 3 different people, all investigated. But in August of 2020, you guys, I'll be on the West Coast doing a marathon. I never, ever, ever actually thought I would ever do a marathon again. But now you have inspired me to do it in 2020, and I'll look up to it and to give you guys an update on what I'm doing with the EXO. Yes, the EXO is going to be part of my marathon training. It still is in my life, but the update is I can't use the other one, the Indigo, that I thought I was going to be able to use because of my CP. I asked today, I said, can I use it? And they go, nope, it's not a good combination. But I think that I know that medical technology is coming to my back door to the point where I can get in an EXO. I never thought in a million years that I would be walking in an EXO. I never thought. So medical technology is changing. As I said, I'm the first woman to be walking in an EXO in the country who isn't paralyzed. So yes, they haven't done official study on people with cerebral palsy in the EXO. So maybe I get to be written up in medical papers. I don't know. I almost got written up in medical papers for being the youngest person to survive propofol infusion syndrome. The youngest person to get propofol infusion syndrome, and that was what Michael Jackson died of, and that was what almost killed me when they did my back surgery back in 2006. And I was 18 and a half at the time. And most people that get propofol infusion syndrome die, and it's old people's disease. But yet over 1,000 people in this country are allergic to propofol. So I was almost written up in a medical paper out of the University of Denver, Colorado University, because of propofol infusion syndrome. Now I'm waiting to be written up in medical paper about the EXO.
So this exoskeleton thing, what is like the duration or the length of time that you can actually use one? Is it? I'm asking you in a very elementary terms here.
Question.
But what is the final or greatest, result that they would be looking for?
It depends.
It
depends. Like today, I took about 200 steps in it.
Wow.
220. I typically take 150. Maybe I took 215 today. So it depends because they also stand you up and they also stand you up in it. So they count up time as being up time before they walk with you.
Right.
And so it really depends. And today, my tone, which is part of CP, you guys, is really fighting me, as I told Mel and as I told you guys. So today, my tone fought the EXO, but the EXO plays nicely with CP, but I couldn't do it without the Galileo tilt table, which is Bible Gym for the disabled, or Power Plate for the disabled, and it increases my tone before I get in the EXO, because without it, the EXO would go into shutdown mode, which it did today. It actually went into shutdown mode today when my tone went off the walls, and it actually went into shutdown mode. So we saved it. We went for a walk, but it wasn't too happy with me. It wasn't too happy with me today. So So on Wednesday, I'll make sure it's super happy with me. But just like anyone's abilities or disabilities can affect you day to day.
Yeah. Well, so let me see if I understand. So do you stand on a power plate for the vibration plate to increase blood flow first, and you get micro contractions, you get yourself pumped up, and then you get into the EXO?
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. That's what the Galileo tilt table does. Micro contractions, and then decreases my tone, and then I get into the Galileo tilt EXO.
Interesting. So it's almost like a warm-up routine for you, per se.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
get your core temperature up, get some circulation going in through your joints.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
And the Galileo tilt table is micro contractions. Thank you very much for explaining that. And it's micro contractions, so that way the EXO doesn't freak out when I get into it.
Right. That's awesome.
So that's how I do it.
Wow.
That's how I do it.
Oh.
It's the power plate for the disabled person. If you go, you guys Google the Galileo tilt table, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And look up the Bridging Bionics Foundation. They're on Facebook. I know they are. And you'll see what they're talking about. You'll see me on the Galileo tilt table, and then you can look at it, and it's like I'm strapped in using a power plate or a Bible Gym.
That's amazing. So, Technology is a phenomenal thing.
Help me get in the Galileo tilt table. Help me get in the EXO. I'm sorry. And and I've been doing this program for about a good year and a half, and it took me 6 months of just the Galileo tilt table, just micro contractions to get in the EXO. I wasn't in the EXO the first day. my tone was so messed up because of my tone, because of CP, that it took about a good 6 months of it all on the Galileo field table twice a week before I was able to get in the EXO.
Right. Have you, in any passive therapy, have you ever done any flotation or any cryotherapy at all? Has that ever been introduced to you at all?
What's the name of it? The oxygen hypervac chamber has been put on the table too. I just need to find the one. Cryotherapy, no, but that may be something that I look into. And with hypervac chambers, I just need to find the one. Of course, insurance doesn't cover this. That's why I'm slowly but surely walking away from the education field, because you don't make enough money in the education field. Plus, they're not paying my insurance. They're not paying my insurance bill. Yeah. I am paying my insurance bill, so I might as well do something I enjoy as to pay the bills. Will it? So that's, yeah. And unfortunately, insurance doesn't pay for the EXO.
No. That's all out of pocket on you. Right.
Yep. That's all out of pocket on me.
Yeah. Well, thank God you're talented and skilled, and you can, generate revenue. And,
yes. Yes.
By way of your superpowers, right? So.
By way of my superpowers, the gift of writing and the gift of talking. So
the gift of gab.
Guys want to support, just make a donation to the Bridging Bionics Foundation. Amanda, would truly love that. Amanda's a Wonder Woman show. She actually crowdfunded the EXO herself, and then decided I can't do this anymore, so why not create a non-profit to give it back to the community. And so every donation she gets goes straight back into the program, and the PTs are paid $75 an hour out of her pocket, out of what we pay, which is $300. The reason why I'm telling you all this is because I just want you guys to know what medical technology I'm using, and I want you guys to know the truth of what my life is set up to be.
Well, you're on the right path, and you've got everything set in motion and the right people in place to help you win. No pun intended.
Yeah,
right?
No pun intended. So, Mel, how would you like to close out this episode?
Well, I'll tell you what. One of the things that I did when I was up on the first run I did up on the mountain during the day was I did a Facebook Live post, and that I always urge people to challenge their fitness. So if you're out there and you have an exercise program that you do on a regular basis, A, I applaud you. B, I do encourage you to step outside of that, because any indoor or consistent workout program you do outdoors is still controlled. You've got to step outside of it, get out there, you join some organized events, get your body moving as a full athletic unit into some elements in nature, and it really exposes your weaknesses so you could take those weaknesses back to the drawing board and improve yourself so that when you go back out there again, you're better. That's the only way you really, really get to improve. So challenge your fitness that way. From an entrepreneurial standpoint, go for it. If you have any part of you that has a dream or thinks that, you have something to say to this world of value or add or anything like that, don't be afraid to harness your superpower and use it. Because what's the worst that could happen? It didn't work out and you go back and you try something again. I've done it multiple times and I'm still here. So just be fearless. Don't be afraid to be fearless, because someone out there is inspired by you, no matter what you think you're doing, no matter how strong you feel that day, especially no matter how weak you think you feel that way, because your weakest day is somebody else's strongest day. So don't forget that.
Well, that's a lovely way to end this
Mm-hmm.
episode because me, I'm having a week today, but I
All
think
right.
after hearing what Mel did over the weekend, I think I said a curse word to Mel, and I said, let's just move on because I wanted
Let's
to
do
hear
it.
about Mel's update, and I wanted to
All
come
right.
on with Mel and share it publicly and share what I'm doing publicly. So, the next week will be, let me just look at the Facebook Messenger here. Hang on, you guys. Yeah. Okay. We are there. So, next week is, I think what we decided is scheduling, and then, no, we decided health and entrepreneurship. Sorry, we decided health and entrepreneurship, and then the following week, when you guys go back to school, thank you very much, we will do scheduling and entrepreneurship, which will include health, because you got to make health a meeting. You have to. You have to. I do it. So we're talking about health and entrepreneurship, which I think my co-host is going to take the lead on this one because he's the expert. I am not. So, yeah. But we're talking about health and entrepreneurship, and then as we go back into the school year for 2017, we will talk about scheduling, and then that following week after we talk about scheduling, you guys, we will talk about family and entrepreneurship. Oh, the joys of having a kid in preschool and entrepreneurship. Let me just hit the parents that were entrepreneurial in the class I was teaching. Some of them sometimes didn't even show up for the event. So I'm like, yeah. This is, you're acting like you're in the cubicle. This is great. So that's just a little sneak peek of what we're going to talk about. But we will be back here next week, at some point next week, and you guys will hear this episode on Wednesday, and then we will be back next week.
Sounds good. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.